Hello, my lovely, and welcome to season 2, episode 23 of the Prosperous Yogini Podcast. Now, before I dive into today's episode, there are a few updates and a big request. So, a little bit of a confession time here. I haven't been checking my podcast data. Says the business strategist that tells you all the time, let the data lead. What does the data say? Data is really important, but honestly, hand on heart, this podcast is just my way for free to just help you do what lights you up and make money. I am so determined to bring as many big-hearted, soul-led entrepreneurs with me as possible. I believe the world will be a better place when we are making more money and working in more energetically aligned ways. And I just want to help as many of you as I can. And the podcast is, my way that I do it for free, basically. Although I will say on that topic, the change will really come when you part with some money and won't move one-to-one, or in my group programs or mastermind. That's a topic for another day. But I did dive into the data the other month, and I got a really pleasant surprise. I'm nearly at 12,000 downloads. Not just that, the average 7-day download puts my podcast, the Prosperous Yogini Podcast, me, just me talking to myself most of the time, in the top 25% of all podcasts. And I was like, oh, you know what? What do I know? What I focus on expands. If I put some more energy, more intention behind this podcast, that there is something really magical here. This could get even bigger. This is my request to you. Please tell your friends, basically. Share with any wellness, service-based entrepreneur. It's not just yoga teachers. Obviously, season 1 is really yoga teacher specific. Season 2, as I evolve, you can see that I'm moving more into both business and energy for soul-led entrepreneurs. Season 3, my 3rd birthday. I haven't confirmed things yet, but I have in my head, I would love my 3rd birthday party to be an in-person event. So watch that space. I am having a rebrand as part of the relaunch. So again, watch this space. And as I move into season 3, best news for you all, I'm going to be doing 2 episodes a month. So I'm going into bi-weekly. Every 2 weeks I'll be an episode rather than just the 1 episode. Feeling like I've got a bit more time, a bit more space, there's more capacity to say yes to this. Not just that, season 3, I am really going to embody what I am all about, which is the energy and the strategy, working with the feminine and the masculine to create whatever it is in your heart. So there'll be 1 episode a month that's talking about the energetics of running a business, 1 episode a month that's talking about strategy. I really want to prove to you that I'm about both. I've had a few people recently come to me with some strategy and advice that they've been given from someone else, and they were like, I know you're not into strategy, Amy. And I'm like, oh my God, I am so into strategy. Tell me what the strategy was. And yes. And then the load of other options that they had, I know strategy, but I know strategy only gets you so far if it's not energetically aligned to how you're meant to do it. And often the strategy, basically the series of steps that we need to take to get to the desired outcome, we already know it's in us. We get energetically tuned in, tapped in, the strategy then becomes apparent. But then sometimes we do need to just be given a strategy, told what to do, follow that, and then test and see, does it work for me? How does it feel in my body? How does it energetically align with how I want to do things? Anyway, that's going to be the vibe on series 3. So between now and June, I've got a lot to sort out between now and June. Please can you review the podcast, whether you listen on Apple or Spotify? I would really appreciate that. And share and tell your friends. Just get people listening to this podcast, because you know what? I think we could do better. But I am literally just blown away by that 12,000 downloads, and the fact that the Prosperous Yogini Podcast is so well listened to. I'm like, I need to put a bit more energy behind this. This could be bigger. So thank you for helping me on that. shall we get on to today's topic, which is holding space for the highs and lows. And I'm going to say the bit in between. Now, I am pretty sure it's all a bit of a blur because there's been so many episodes that I've done an episode on holding space from the perspective of a yoga teacher. Today is about holding space for our highs and lows. Then if you are a life coach, a business coach, some sort of coach, to be honest, this one's going to apply for you, therapists, counseling, those of us that work with people through an extended period of time, where we're promising some form of transformation, some sort of positive change, positive outcome. We have to, as that person, hold the space for the high and the low and the bit in between. Like I always will say, like your trajectory in business is never a straight line. It's like up and down, up and down, because that's what it is to be human. And I think a lot of the time when we are having a low moment, whether that's like just we're energetically feeling off, we're not feeling good about ourselves, we're not feeling good in the right mindset, we're energetic feelings in our body, or whether like actually not making any sales, we're not making any money, we've launched something, it's a flop, we've booked a hall to run something and no one's booked in, whatever it is, right? Can I be there in my business, committed to doing what it is I came here to do, as much as when it's I'm high-fiving, I feel great about the world, nothing's going to stop me, and the sales are rolling in. We need to be able to hold space for us to exist in both the low and the high and everything in between. As an individual business owner, we need to hold space for ourselves. And again, if you are that counselor, coach, mentor, therapist, offering some form of transformation, offering a promise of change, like you have to be there for when the change is happening and your client's doing everything that you hoped and asked for and they're getting results. You have to be there for them in that moment, but you also have to be there for them when it's just not working out, when the shit hits the fan. Like, in fact, I will say you need to be in the trenches with your clients more, be with them more, hold space for them more in this moment than in the high. So let's just sort of like go back to us as individuals, holding space for the highs and the lows. Listen, I have been self-employed. I wrote this down since 2008. Like, I've been doing this a long time. I've been full-time in my business since 2012. And what I think is really interesting, after spending, a large chunk of time in this world of being self-employed and running my own business and, on the online world and online marketing, you begin to notice like there just are patterns. Like, people are saying this isn't working anymore and this strategy isn't working anymore and this time has been and gone, and like Facebook groups don't work anymore, and no one's buying online courses, and people haven't got any money to invest in X, Y, and Z anymore. You start to notice this is just a pattern that there's always something that allegedly is no longer working. There's always a new thing that we've all got to jump on board and do. But actually, that's not necessarily true. It might not be working for that person. It might never work for you. Things do shift and change. But ultimately, things are go in circles, go in cycles, and that includes us and that includes our business. So we have seasons. I think we have seasons, and the seasons are impacted actually very little by external events most of the time. We may have, life happen to us. Early motherhood's a great example. Like, I'll look back on those days, and that was definitely a season for me where having basically a relatively small in-person business worked really, really well. I'm in a different season now. I've got older children. I'm navigating the perimenopausal stages of my life, but I definitely have more time, more capacity to grow, more desire to grow my business. At the same time, I'm always having to ask myself, does that energetically work for you, Amy? Have you got the energy to do that, to say yes to that? So it's working with those seasons, and therefore working with the highs and the low. Like, if we look to nature, I love this analogy, like, it's not all about growth. If we look to the seasons, like what does autumn and winter tell us? That things have to drop away, that we have to take time to rest. Maybe we need to reframe these moments from them being lows, for rather than moments in our business, not even, contraction, just moments of rest and reset. Maybe it's the language. I'm starting to think I need to reframe this for myself. And then we have spring and we have summer, and things are growing and things are in abundance. This is true of our life cycles and our businesses' life cycles. And can I be in it for the good and the bad and the in between? And I know, because after 16 plus years of being in this game, I know how hard the lows are. I know how much mental resilience, right? You will often hear me saying to like my one-to-one, my mastermind clients, those are my group programs, like I'm business mentoring. I was like, when they're having a tough moment, they're like, what is wrong with me? And I'm like, listen, step back. You are doing something that most people aren't. Most people are employed. Like if being self-employed was easy, everyone would do it. Like you are leading the way. You are choosing to work in a very different way to the vast majority of people, to the vast majority of women. Like you are amazing. And that really just helped to knock us out of that I'm failing, it's not working out for me, what's wrong with me? And acknowledge what it is that we're trying to do. It actually isn't straightforward. It actually isn't easy. Often, for the vast majority of people, takes time. There are very, very few people who are overnight successes. And then, can I be in that space where perhaps things are taking more time than I expected? Things are slower than I expected. And I tell you what, guys, I think it's harder. So for those of us that have been in business for a while and had some success, it is so hard when something that was really working stops working, when suddenly people stop attending a class, stop buying into an offer, and nothing has really changed other than it's no longer selling. Now, normally something has changed, something a bit subtle, maybe you're not quite in it as much. Maybe your universe wants you to do, and this has always been the case when anything hasn't quite worked out. The universe, perhaps wants you to do something else, but be super careful of what you tell yourself. So, like, if I give you an example from my business, back, the story, most of you, 2020, I went online, I created all these online courses, 2020, 21. Then 2020, 21, 22, 23, like these online training courses were selling really well. Now, I'll be honest with you, 2024 saw a real dip in sales of my online training courses, particularly in the second half of the year. And I was making some changes to them and how I delivered them. So that's definitely was an impact. But honestly, just like little offers, flash sales, that just worked before just stopped working. And I know I'm not alone in that, in noticing that drop off of online course sales. So for some time, I was like, people don't want to do online training anymore. People don't want to do online yoga training the way I'm offering it, because my online courses are like purposely flexible, self-led study. I want, I want them to be for that person that can't get to a venue at a particular time and place and need the flexible nature of it, need the replays, love the replays, do set a time to do it. So I kind of like told myself, 2025, that, maybe these online courses, they're not selling anymore. Guess what? I didn't sell them. Anyway, like just recently, I've had a few people that have worked their way through the pregnancy and the yin course and the mum and baby course and the toddler course, and just, send me their work and send their feedback and just like, Amy, I love this course. And like a few other people who've previously done them, let me know about like their classes and the success they're having. So I was just getting these signs. I was like, God, people are like still really loving these courses, still having success and actually doing what I intend them to do, which is go out into the world and share the knowledge that are in these courses, share the light that's yoga, create new streams of income and more flexible ways of working. Like that's what I'm all about, And I went away on a family holiday to Switzerland like very recently. And I always expect when I go away on holiday to have like a download of explosion of new ideas. Like I was kind of ready. I got a notepad. I was like, right, holiday, send me the downloads. And I was just a bit blown away by what I actually did download. Was like, I'm here. I have, in my terms of my yoga business, everything I need, and in terms of where the business mentoring is going, it's there. Like I just, need to be in it for the long game. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just bring back the yin, bring back the pregnancy, bring back the mama baby, start to tell people about it again, make an offer, test and see. So I've been in a real low, like no one's buying it, no one's doing it. These courses are like, oh, I made them 4 or 5 years ago. Like, it's done. That time's been and gone, right? I was in that mindset, the end of 2025, end of 2024, and like early part of 2025. And like last week, I sold 3 or 4 of these courses. I've had a little offer. I've been inspired by the download I got from my holiday, which was like, you know what you've got is good, sell it. Stop creating new stuff. What you've got is good, sell it. So that's how navigating the lows. I can hold the space for the low, but in those lows, what I'm telling myself, I'm not taking it as truth. I'm not taking it as truth. I'm not allowing myself to be in those lows as well. Like we have to allow ourselves to have bad days, to have things that don't sell, to have things that were working, not work anymore. And like I said, I think that's really hard to navigate. For those of us that have been in the business game for a while, that is tough. It's really frustrating because you're like, oh, why is this not working? And then you have to question, what am I telling myself in these low moments, and is it true? Is there something? What's the message here? Is this something I need to let go of? Something that I'm doing that no longer serves me, or do I need to do it slightly differently? Do it in a more aligned way? Decide how I would like to do it rather than people pleasing, thinking it needs to have all of this stuff. And then just get really, really clear on who the offer is for. So if I go back to my online training courses, just like be super clear. These are self-less study. They're flexible self-less study. If you're looking for that type of training, this is it. If you're not, then this isn't it. And be okay with it. So holding the space for us in those low moments are really important. And then also holding the space in the high, that's really interesting one for me, because there's days where you're invincible and you can do anything, and the sales are coming in and something's booked and filled full. You booked out a retreat, you're full with your one-to-ones, you've got wait lists for stuff, you're just like, this is happening, I'm here. How often do you say to yourself, this isn't going to last? Or I can't keep this up, or I can't do any more than this is my ceiling, right? I say these things to myself all the time in the moments where it's going really well. And it's like, if I'm confessed to you guys, I don't allow myself enough time to sit in celebration of my achievements. I'm always on to the next thing. I'm always like, oh, this isn't I'm not gonna keep this up, or I'm gonna be back in that low soon. So my other invitation to you guys, as well as allowing yourselves to sit in those low moments, hold the space. It is uncomfortable, it's part of being in business. You've got to have the most resilient mindset in the world, and everything you're telling yourself in those low moments, just ask yourself, is it true? And don't make decisions from those places. When you're riding the waves of high, when everything's working out for yourself, allow yourself to be there, celebrate it. Yes, it is possible for you to maintain this. It is possible for you to grow from there. And it's totally okay for you to stay here for a bit. And then the high becomes the in-between. So this, I have spoken about the space in between, but I don't know, since the dawn of time. Like I talk about it in terms of like the nervous system. We always talk about sympathetic and parasympathetic. We always talk about yin and yang. We always talk about inhale and exhale. We always talk about the incoming time, the outcoming time. And everyone is missing the in-between space, the space where we perceive nothing is happening. Now, the best example I've got of this is the tides. Of course, I am a surfer, I live near the sea, so you're going to get the sea analogy here. But the tide comes in and the tide goes out, right? Wrong. The tide comes in, it takes about 6 hours here in Cornwall to come in, and there is a 20-minute window where we call it still water. The tide is neither in nor out. It's the space in between, and then the tide goes out again. Now, listen, still water, nobody talks about still water. There's just, here is the point of low tide, here is the point of high tide, and then basically it's either coming in or out. We miss the magical moments of the in-between. And the in-between moments are things are just happening. You're not necessarily in that moment of expansion. You're fortunately not in a moment of low. You're just in a moment of neutrality. And what happens in your business over a process of time, like I found that it's not that you don't have lows anymore, but you get better at navigating them. Perhaps they're not as low as they normally were before, or you come out them quicker. And you raise your set point in terms of the in-between space just gets higher. You have your high and then you drop back down to the in-between, but the in-between is a little bit higher. This is compassionate expansion. We allow ourselves to have low moments. We allow ourselves to ride high, be full of forward action, and then we allow ourselves to just, I want to use the word flatline, but that just sounds negative. We just allow ourselves to be in the neutral space. This is holding space as a business owner. None of it means anything. It is all neutral. It's all part of being human. It's all part of being a business owner. And we make it mean so much. Well, I do. In the low, I'm failing. It's going to be like this forever. In the high, this is amazing, but I can't keep this up forever. And then like I'm probably like horrendous in the still water bit because I'm like, what should I be doing? And rather than just existing in the now. And I think one of the challenges of being like a solopreneur, a self-employed service-based business is I'm so often looking forward rather than just existing in the now. We do need to look forward and we do need to have plans, but can we allow ourselves to have moments, to have days, to have weeks, to have months, where we are just, I want to say coasting, but it's just not the right word. We're just arrived. We are just arrived. And honestly, I have this big feeling of, arriving. I'm going to have a few spikes, got a big launch for my podcast party, and my mentoring business is having a rebrand. But honestly, I just really have this sense of arriving. So that's like how we hold space. If you are a business coach, life coach, therapist, anybody who supports people through a period of transformation, I want you to think about the fact that you also hold space for them. Like as a yoga teacher, we hold space for our students to energetically practice yoga. And they, whether they are high vibing, full of energy, kind of like in the mid-ground, the neutral place, the still water, or just having a really low day, we invite them to come to the mat in whatever energetic space they are, and that is welcome. As a therapist, as a mentor, as a coach, working energetically with people on whatever the modality and topic it is, the best thing we can do is hold space for the low, hold space for the high, hold space for the in-between, and let none of it mean anything. In fact, for those of you that are business coaches, or perhaps you're interested in working with me one-to-one in the context of my mastermind, or perhaps my just dedicated one-to-one services, it's really interesting. I work with people, the masterminds for 5-6 months long. You could say with me for the whole year if you like, or beyond. My one-to-one programs are 4 and 8 months. And a lot of my one-to-one clients, actually, we're working together for a long period of time. I'm starting to realize, if it comes to a relationship, you just rock on with that. It's brilliant, right? So I'm realizing that, business mentorship actually real change comes when you work with someone over a longer period of time. And it is really reasonable that in that time that my clients aren't high vibing all the time, that we have real moments of lows, whether it be an external life event, or they're just like something's flopped, something's not sold, something's not selling. I've had recently like two clients. One was running a retreat and one was selling an online course, and both weren't selling, right? And I held space for them, their retreat and their online course not to be selling. I was the one that was like offering the support, offering the backup plan, offering the options, offering the energetic invitation. Please let those who'll be blessed to work with me. Offering some solutions to help make their offer, more people know about their offer, more people interested in their offer, spark more conversations with people so they can invite people into their offers. I held the space. And both the online course and the retreat happened. They weren't sold out. They weren't with the numbers that they wanted, but they both made good money from the online course and the retreat. And without me there, like down in the trenches, down in the low bit, not letting the fact that things weren't selling mean anything in that moment of time, holding the space for that low that they were experiencing, meant that they've gone on to make these offers happen. They've gone on to make money. They've both been brilliant experience for people. And the people who've been on the retreat and been part of the online course, they're going to buy into other things. And this is why, for me, guys, I don't know how you do it alone. Like, you really need the support of someone holding space for you who gets it, right? And that's what I want to say. I hope you can hear from today's podcast that I get it, that I get how the lows feel, I get how the highs feel, I get how we feel after those highs, I get like how frustrating it can be, or like how resistant, that's a better word, how resistant we are to allowing ourselves to exist in the sort of like the midpoint, the still water. It's not the coasting. I mean, we can't be riding a high all the time. Like, you know, even big wave riders need a rest. Only separate ways. So this is my invitation. I'll put in the show notes. To join my Your Purpose Mastermind or get on the wait list. It depends on what time of year that you listen to this podcast. My mastermind is primarily the way I work with people, one-to-one. I love working with clients one-to-one, but I also love the power of a small group. There's only ever a maximum of 10 people working in a small collaborative group together. It enrolls in January and it enrolls in July. So this podcast episode is April 2025. So the doors to my next cohort for the July cohort are opening soon. So there's a wait list, or you can come in if it's open. Add your name to wait list. It's the best place to be on it. How does my mastermind work? Well, great question. Over the course of 6 months, you get a human design reading from our human design coach, Finny. And you get 5 one-to-one calls from me, 1 per month. And then we have 2 calls per month, a hot seat coaching and like a mastermind training call. Like, I've got a mastermind training call coming up tomorrow, and it is posting with a purpose. We're going to be looking at how specifically we refine our content to make it more purposeful, to drive people to the action that we'd like them to take. So that's happening with my mastermind crew tomorrow. That's all online, although I do meet my clients in person as well. But listen, online world is great, right? But there's nothing more magical than getting together and hanging out in person. So we have 2 in-person meets every sort of like 6 months. So one is always in Cornwall at the Headland Hotel, which includes a final session in the aqua. Yes, I do coaching from a hot tub. And then this July we're meeting in Bristol. So I would really love you to be part of it. It is like I feel like I've really arrived. Like, this is what I've always been meant to do. I love working with women, helping them do what lights them up and make money. Like, I've got one lady who's joined who it's not about making more money. She's actually really happy with the turnover, the income on her business. What it is she is working really hard. She's working all the hours that God sends. And she's like, I can't keep this up, but I don't want to earn less money. So we've been looking at how we can change the way she's working, her pricing structures, her offer suite, so she can work less, but not earn less. So it's not sometimes all about money. But I love helping women do this. I love helping women create more streams of income, more aligned ways of working. I love working one-to-one with people, but I really love the power of the group. I really love in-person interaction. And this mastermind, my Your Purpose Mastermind, brings everything together. There's also an early bird price, so the best thing to do is be on the wait list, because it is actually only 6 places, because those that are currently on it, some of them are staying in. It is that good. It really is that good. And if I'm honest with you guys, I should be charging a lot more for it. So, now's like the early days of this, the great days to come in, is what I want to say. So I'd love to see you in there, add your name to wait list. I think other than that, if you're like, I love the sound of the mastermind, but that's not quite for me, I have a small amount of availability for one-to-one clients. Or if you're like, you know what, not quite there yet, price-wise, range, Amy, that's fine. There is a link to the energetics of selling, which is a freebie training, which gets you on my mailing list, which means you get to hear about all my offers. And like the podcast, which is my free content that I put out into the world, I'm dedicated to serving you guys at all price points, at all levels and all stages of your business. Like, I want a world where we all thrive, right? Not just the ones that can afford to work with me one-to-one or in my mastermind. So I do have some lower cost programs that I run every now and again. So the best place to find out about them is basically on my mailing list. I think that is it for the day. Hold the space for the good, the bad, the ugly, and the bit in between where you think nothing's going on, when actually perhaps the energy of your efforts are doing their work. You get to just sit back and receive all the good that is coming your way. Whew. On that note, I will see you next month for May's episode, and hopefully by then there'll be more details on podcast parties, season 3, and the big relaunch. But like I said, but before then, please review my podcast, share it. Let's get the Prosperous Yogini out there more. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you all next month.